recent survey by Science, it was concluded that a good triple changer is all about that balance. 3 modes with as little compromise as a Heihachi Mishima family betrayal plan. What I'd really like to discuss is the hit or miss ratio of triple changer design across Transformer toy generations, but I made a countdown video instead. Triple changer design, age like a fine milk. Take G1 Sandstorm, a toy that made my 6-year-old head detonate. For its time it had 3 solid modes. World's smallest elbows. A transformation sequence that might as well have been edible, and everything I wanted from a triple changer, including Jet from Gladiators. On the extreme other hand, look at Titan's Return Broadside.
Yeah, it's the one that looks like half of a jet emerging from a mountain.
Has anything in the modern age achieved such harmony?
Maybe.
Let's do a top 5.
Why?
8 Thims. He gorilla shapes impressively despite having the meat equivalent of a single rice noodle on each shoulder. Several hours of grin analysis are still inconclusive. A solid enough robot mode, only let down by the ocular vacuum that is this white plastic, pretending to be plastic, but in disguise. His flight mode barely escapes looking like A shape in fancy dress. The surprise equivalent of a different Lego set than the one you ask Santa for, but one that's similar enough. Not fantastic by any means, but Apeface is pretty great. High merit points come from validation provision, that I'm finally over my fear of the PG Tips monkeys. Bastards.
4.
Henke Astro Train, just like me, this guy packs 3 solid modes for his height stature.
Oh hey, Grazdro Train.
Pretty good for Sentinel Prime, but Titan's Return had a train mode that looked like Minas Tirith.
This train mode's bollocks.
Henke does a much better job of taking me up the Astro Train. Better Space Shuttle Mode 2, I'd eat you in a shiny glistening booster sandwich. Through willed ignorance, I've completely ignored these bullet train noses. Fresh baked loaf shoulder pads. Here to remind you that triple changing is a contact sport. Really the only thing that gives him away as an older release is that no one's on TFW pissing about the lack of ankle tilt, relating it to their personal well-being.
3.
Generation Springer and Sandstorm. When they were first released, I, along with everyone else, joined the queue with my tub of butter and person-sized spreading apparatus. 2 splendid rotorcraft await you. I've always wanted to be told that at home time. The car modes are big, but in my tiny hands that isn't justifying my adjectives. If edible, periodically they'd be adequate sustenance. Massive bastard wheels. Finished with 2 dynamic robot modes that are the comics. They are fantastic, but I just don't think they're as good anymore. Instead of answering all the inevitably imminent questions you might have on that opinion, I'm just going to show you the wood pigeon impression I've been practicing. Siege Rise Tro Train. Train mode will belt you like 1930s educational discipline. His tender stores his lunch and does a few other things, but I'm going to ignore it from now on because it covers up his lovely boosty biscuits. The vehicle modes are armoured out in a lovely layer of techno fat that gives them a nice bit of heave. Though the shuttle is so chest heavy it could star in its own etchy, I did find out that this is where all the previous month's consumed custard slices now exist, and Commander Keen takes them there. There's no train in the shuttle, and there is no shuttle in the train mode. The transformation has just enough sorcery going on to give Mandrake a duvet tent. Top it off with this robot mode, that is the best Astro Train tribute gig I've seen so far. Functionally, he just works, and every mode hits the right side of good enough for me to love it. And Thrust knows this because look how nicely he's sat. Trax isn't a triple changer. Just a flying car. Octane. Tanko. You were that close, but that far away. Siege Springer. I bet you all thought he was going to be number 1. He sits in the expensive room with the prestige linen, casually swinging his alt modes in your face. And this all happens while he forces you to watch his all-time favourite episodes of Woof. His transformation is more unnecessary steps than Nath's favourite part of Snake Eater.
It wasn't Aladdin.
Siege Springer is beautiful, but nowhere near as clever as he thinks he is, and definitely not as fun.
1.
Titan's Return, Blitzwing.
Attack of the fucking Clones.
I think this figure is better than all the others, not just because he's beige. Blitzwing's jet was always a fat boy, but this proves that if you maintain a decent shape, you can always get away with the midnight snacks. They've crammed a whole tank in underneath. Not just neatly, but they've maintained visible aviation credibility. Oh, it's a tank, but something's up. It's definitely a tank. Oh, I'm dead. I find the key with Blitzwing's alt modes is neither one of them is fighting for the spotlight. They exist in this silky smooth Blitzwing symbiosis that you can't describe without sounding like a dick. Topping your trifle is a transformation that is the kinetic equivalent of Revolver Ocelot's larynx.
The Colt's single action army.
Arms are really fucking long. The balance that this figure strikes between functionality, visuals, fun, character, and even a bit of nostalgia, I find outstanding.
It's actually genuinely acceptable if you think of it in Megaforce scale. Not as a mere jet, but as an immense flying fortress. Which is pretty easy since it already looks like an on-the-ground fortress.
Broadside wins.